ha ha, look at me, it's me, Mr. Headless Tom, and that was the only plan I had for this podcast. We'll just be exploring the interior of my mind, because usually I come in with a plan, and boy, we have none, because what's been going on in my life, just relationship, and who wants to hear about that? well, you might want to if you're in a relationship as well, but like, I don't know, when I hear someone gushing about someone who they're in a relationship with, and they're not like that close of a friend with me, I'm like, that's really interesting, but let's hear about you. So I'm just going to be talking about myself because narcissism is rampant in this realm. Jovy! Jovy's not a narcissist, but he has been called that. He has been called that once before. Especially when people are mad at him, and you know, Jovy really believes in himself. He's all about self-belief, but sometimes it can be misconstrued as narcissism, but you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong for thinking that. So if you do think that, come on in. Come on.
I would like to agree that if you think that, I think you would be wrong as well. I don't consider myself a narcissist. I did a lot of self-reflection. I don't think so. I recently started liking myself.
So how could he be
a
narcissist if he only just started liking himself? It's not possible. So if you think that, fuck off. So let's talk about how to love yourself. Look in the mirror, tell yourself, I look sexy today, even if you look fucking ugly. Even if you're just looking at your pimples, you're like, oh, you pimples. Yeah, well, you're beautiful because you don't need to use Olay Regenerist technology on top of your skin. Don't even do a mud mask. Let's just love our acne. In fact, we should just squeeze pimples onto each other's faces as a sign of affection, because like what? It's kind of like cum. It's like coming on each other, right? Like that is like a sign of love or affection, I guess, unless you're just doing one night stands where you don't care about the other person. But I like when this is getting crazy already, hey? So when you, I guess like you are painting your love juice upon the body of the other person, and I guess you could say that it would be the same thing for pus, because what is pus if not the cum of the face? I'm here to talk to you about pimples in general. We love popping them, we love squeezing them, they come out of nowhere, greasy face, not greasy face. I get them especially when I eat Lay's chips. So I see a little bit of a connection there. Olay Regenerist, Lay's potato chips, right? Same amount of syllables, and you have Olay versus Lay, right? Lay's chips, you lay them down on the table, you eat them. That's why they're called that, I assume. And then Olay means there are zero chips left. There is zero cleanliness on the skin. In fact, why does our skin even do that? We eat a potato chip and then we just ooze? Why? Why is that body cum? Right? Is that the love juice of the face? Are you just like, you eat a potato chip and your whole body's like, oh, fuck yeah. Is that what that is? No, because there's oil on the chip. And I'm here to talk to you about why we need to eat more chips. That's right, folks. We've got a brand new technology coming at you, not from Olay. Instead, we got it coming from the Life Labs. Life Labs, the lab of life. If you eat a potato chip and you start oozing, give us a call, because what we're going to do is we're going to take a little butter knife, we're going to scrape it right off your face. In fact, we could take off your whole face. Have you guys seen Face Off? You guys have seen Face Off, right? With John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, the men who tried to steal the Declaration of Independence. So there's a different version of that we're trying to do here at Life Labs. And disclaimer, I do not represent Life Labs. But if I did, we would have this brand new technology where you eat a bunch of potato chips, and then when your face starts coming, then we just take a little butter knife and just scrape it off, and we collect it in a vat. Like, you've ever seen like a bacon grease jar? It looks like that. It smells like it too for some reason. I guess it's just because it's from the cooking oil. And in fact, we will have you eat bacon, Lay's chips, frozen yogurt. We'll talk about the frozen yogurt in a little bit. But with eating the bacon and the Lay's chips, you're collecting oil inside your body. And that oil has a very, very, very special quality where if you take that, you let it sit in the fridge for a little bit, freeze out all the little germs and the microbes, you put that back on your skin, and it's actually like the most powerful mud mask. And we just discovered this because we're disgusting human beings, and you know, we eat our toenail clippings, you know, we eat our boogers, We in fact when we I'm gonna say in fact a lot today, so just get over yourself if you're annoyed by it. We pick our nose and we wipe it on the walls, and then when we're moving out of the house, our mom goes, "Hey, looks like you picked your nose and wiped it on the walls a lot." Yeah, human beings are disgusting. That's what I used to do as a kid. I used to just pick my nose and I didn't want to eat it. It was late at night. Sometimes you just take the snot and you just like rub it between your fingers until it's dry enough and like a ball enough, and you just flick it somewhere, and you hope that no one hears it land. Like, that's happened to me at sleepovers when I was younger, because you're not going to get up and blow your nose. Why? Because you're 8, right? And you're lazy. Okay? You're going to lay there in your big red sleeping bag, which is very, very fucking hard to pack up. For some reason, they should make sleeping bags that stuff themselves easier, because sleeping bag, right? I had a sleep, and it was very easy to sleep in it, but then I could not stuff it into the bag. In fact, I should have just called it a sleep, because it was fucking hard to stuff it in the bag. But I would take my big red sleeping bag, go and stay at my friends' places, and yeah, pick my nose. That wasn't the draw. If you think I'm going to go stay at a friend's house for just picking my nose, I'm not going to, because I can pick my nose wherever I want. I can pick my nose over here in my bedroom, and I do. You take it, and you like, and it's gross, right? Especially if you got a big one, and you're like, oh yeah, nice, yum, right, cool. And then you roll it up into a little ball, and pew, very satisfying. Especially like, you can tell how thick and juicy it was. Oh, this is very visceral terminology for snot, but you can tell how much gold you've mined by the thunk it makes when you flick it across the room. Anyway, I don't do it that much anymore, because yeah, I do blow my nose now like an adult, but I wasn't always drawn to blowing my nose. I didn't start my life as a nose blower. Who does? You know, you start your life as a snotty nose kid, and you grow up and you realize that you can stick your finger in your nose. You're like, oh sweet, if my finger can go in my nose, that's awesome. I can start digging in there. Then you start mining for gold, and then you don't know where to put it. You're 4 years old, you're 3 years old, you're gonna eat it, and you're like, oh, it's kind of nice, oozy, salty, yum, maybe they should make more food like this, because yeah, when you're that age, you are eating a lot of oozy, salty food. So it makes sense that kids that age would be eating their boogers, but then eventually you grow up, and you start rolling into balls and flicking it, or wiping it on the walls, putting on a Kleenex. I didn't like blowing my nose, because I had built up really not great associations with it. Like, whenever I would have a stuffy nose, my parents would go, oh, go blow your nose, and then I would just go and pick it. But the worst, like what really turned me off from blowing my nose, was when I would be really sniffly in the car with my grandparents. They would pull out a napkin, put it over my nose, block one nostril, and go blow, and I'll go fuck, and I'll just blow as hard as I could, and that worked. But it wasn't nice to have that, because it would just be like a very aggressive napkin stuck in my face, and they would just go blow, and I would do that, and that turned me off from blowing my fucking nose. And then I realized that I could just do the blow myself. I don't do blow. I'm just saying I could blow I could blow the snot out of my own cavities. And nowadays I live in a place where the climate's not as dry, so I feel like there's not a whole lot of boogers that happen. Is that how boogers work? You live somewhere dry? Because when I used to live in Calgary, it had a very dry climate, as opposed to Vancouver, very wet climate. Everything's very soggy, very wet, very fun. In Calgary, things are dry, not fun. Unless you just move there, then congratulations. Really hope you enjoy your stay. But in Calgary, it's such an arid. Is it arid? Do you know what arid means, Jovy? Can you look up arid?
I've never heard that word.
Arid. Like, arid's like a desert term. ARID. It's such an arid climate. Too dry.
Just vegetation. Or lacking interest or excitement.
I think that Calgary is all three. Am I wrong?
Calgary is arid
in every sense. Calgary is arid. I've heard that the comedy scene's okay there. I was talking to some people last night. Did 2 open mics last night. Fuck yeah. Well, I did 1 open mic and then 1 registered spot. But that was cool. I'm really happy that that's starting to be the norm, because it's shaping up to be my new passion. Because that's how I approach parkour. I started by going once a week, and then I started going twice a week, and then I started going 3 times a week, and then I couldn't fucking live without it, because it had become my entire life. We'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, Calgary is so arid that you get nosebleeds like out of nowhere. Like maybe you live in like a mountain type place and that's also normal life for you. But I am here to say that if you live near the ocean, you do not get those frequent nosebleeds because it's not dry. Like I don't know how exactly it works, but basically your nose dries up so much, it just cracks and then just ruptures and then eventually you just like pop in a nosebleed. And someone's like, whoa, did someone just punch you? Did you do cocaine or is your nose just runny? And you're like, oh, fuck, it's the third. That's the one. Because you didn't do anything. You just like had a big red thing just come out of your nose randomly. And then sometimes you're just like, oh, fuck, I got a nosebleed. I've seen some extreme nosebleeds. In Calgary. I remember when I was in like third grade, I always reminisce on like school times for the podcast. I guess just because I'm stuck in the past. Maybe I'm a child. Are you a therapist? Fuck off. You're not my I saw an extreme nosebleed when I was in elementary school. I'm not going to specify what grade because I don't actually remember. I said grade 3 at the start because like I think that's like a good like vague number, but now I'm just like starting to doubt it because I don't really have much certainty over anything that I ever say. But like who does? I don't trust them because I think that the human memory is faulty. In fact, I think I'm due for a OS reset. Like I think that they should probably start making Genius bars. Like you take your MacBook. Oh, are you a Samsung user? Shut the fuck up and listen for a sec. When your MacBook or your iPhone is malfunctioning, you take it to a Genius at the Genius bar at the Apple store, or maybe you take it to a shady convenience store because you live somewhere rural. In fact, I will just say in fact for no reason. But when that happens, you take it to a Genius bar and the Genius takes care of it for you, and they'll take a look at it and they'll pull up their diagnostic machine and plug in their first party Apple two-way communication. They'll beep boop boop. Oh, looks like you need the iPhone 12. Oh, motherfuckers, I have one. All right? Hoping I don't have to take this to the Genius bar anytime soon. Why did I get the iPhone 12? It's blue. And it was a reward for myself for only picking up mild addictions during the pandemic, such as social media, dating apps, a little bit of marijuana. Not doing that currently, but we're going to talk about the Genius bar for a sec. Because I am just there. I am reaching out in many different directions, and boy, oh boy, this train is not stopping anytime soon. Because sometimes when the tap doesn't run, I get really frustrated with myself. Develop a little bit of a lisp. But when the tap doesn't run properly, as in my mouth, when the tap is not running properly, I get very frustrated. I'm like, what am I going to talk about on the podcast? Today, I could just talk about nothing. In fact, I'll take myself on numerous tangents and hopefully I can revisit them later. If not, fuck it. Because I'm just talking. Jovy told me the podcast is kind of like a mushroom trip for me. And I agree, because it's just an experience. And it could be a very fun, wacky one, or we could talk about some real shit. And I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen when I start recording. I could just like tell jokes, or I could tell you about a difficult time I'm having with my stepmom. Oh no, I'm gonna complain about family business. Or I'm gonna talk about how I cheated Jovy out of money for boxing gloves, which is the only time I've ever done that. And I hated myself for it. Or I could just improvise like I'm doing now. What the fuck was I talking about? So you go to a Genius bar and you get it taken care of unless you have the new iPhone 12, which I do. It's blue. I bought it because it's blue. But I'm thinking they need a Genius bar for the human OS inside of our brains, because I'm starting to have a couple malfunctions. Like the other day I came so hard that my hearing went away. I'm starting to forget things. Am I getting old? No. Am I smoking too much weed? No, because it's November. It's November. This is the month I've decided where I just do not do the shit. My goal is no drugs, no alcohol, no caffeine, no more than 15 minutes of social media. I am failing at that. And no eating out, which I'm also failing at. But that doesn't mean just give up entirely and just, go back to smoking weed and drinking and whatever. It's like, no, when you fuck up, you pick yourself back up and you go again. right? That's what the motivational people say, but I'm trying to motivate you now. Hey everyone, it's me, Motivational Pete. I'm going to talk to you about getting knocked down and getting back up. The best part about getting knocked down is that you get knocked down and then you can get back up. Because life sometimes throws punches at you, right? You do November, and I guess, yeah, sometimes you fall off the wagon, but the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be the master of yourself. Right? I seem like a crazy guy. I'm not. I like to perform. I'm performative. I like to be creative, and then in between, I would say I'm pretty calm. Yeah? But I like to know that I am the one that's in control of my fucking mind. Like I want to know that there's nothing, nobody or nothing else that is pulling the strings for me, except for the government. And corporations and social media. We'll talk about that later. All right? Let's keep it moving. But I'm doing this because I want to make sure that if I do a drug, I say a drug, but I'm talking weed. If I smoke weed, I want to be a choice. I don't want it to be a habit. If I drink coffee, oh yeah, did I mention I'm doing no caffeine? That's probably one of the other hardest parts. I haven't caved yet. I've been drinking a lot of decaf that does have trace amounts of caffeine. I don't count that, bitch. But I just want to know that my baseline is okay. Because drugs take us up and down. Coffee takes us way up high. It helps with our productivity, helps us feel motivated, helps us feel energetic. Great. Alcohol helps us fuck. Alcohol doesn't help us at all, really. Alcohol just makes us feel like shit. But when you're at a party, which you do if you don't care about COVID, then you drink, right? You go out with your friends if you don't care about COVID, right? I care about COVID, but if you're one of those people that do that, then it was a small party. It was a small social distance gathering. Nobody was within 6 feet of each other. This is what gets me canceled right here, Jovy. Episode 30 is where this ends. Fucking all over the internet. I wasn't, maybe I do go to a socially distanced gathering where people wear masks, but I wasn't on Granville Street, right? And none of my international friends know what that fucking means. But there was a bajillion million people wearing zero masks on the party street in Vancouver called Granville Street. And people are freaking out because it was basically a super spreader event because no one was wearing their masks and it was packed as if there was no pandemic happening at all. I actually got Karen after my mic last night. Everyone was gathered outside of the comedy club just talking, shooting the shit, congratulating each other for doing a really good job and not shoveling piles of shit into their mouths. It was really good vibes after. And then a Karen pulls up and she's like, "Excuse me, I'm going to be walking through here now." And so we parted the Red Sea for her, and then I shouted loudly, "Oh fuck yeah, I forgot there was a pandemic on." Passive aggressive, right? And where was I going with this? Who the fuck knows? Oh, the nosebleed in grade 3. Jesus fuck. Oh no, I was talking about November. Jesus, there is a lot of open cans of worms that we can shovel into our nostrils. Picking noses, that's a callback. But yeah, I'm doing November because I just want to make sure that my baseline's okay. Because sure, you could be a mentally healthy person and energetic and happy and everything, with drugs, with caffeine, with social media, whatever. But who are you without that? Because you are always you, but there is the baseline you, and it's good to check in and make sure that you is okay. And if it's not, then let's figure out some shit. Let's find out what needs to change. Are you a happy person, or are you a happy person because you are sustained by substances? Jovy. Oh, we joke. We like a good joke around here. We are jokers. It's not even a joke. But I'm doing this because I want to make sure that my baseline's okay. And I'm fucking up with the social media stuff, but there's also a lot of other things that I'm refraining from doing right now, so I'm cutting myself a little bit of slack. And this year already, I've done 2 months of no social media. which doesn't always work in my favor because either I lose all of my momentum with social media, which, you could argue that momentum is not important. But in the industries that I'm striving in, it is good to always be seen, or at least always be active in some way, shape, or form. And also, when I do a full month off social media, I do rubber band when I come back. I noticed that I'll go a whole month without, and then, my first day back, my screen time on Instagram will be like 3 hours or something, and it'll be just atrocious. And then I'll just like spiral, download all the dating apps again. Like, that's when I can really tell that like I've kind of lost self-control, is when I'm doing I would say the trifecta of Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble. But it's worse because it's like Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, Instagram, and each time you're just kind of refreshing your feelings. It's like, okay, I do Tinder until I'm dissatisfied, then I do Hinge until I'm dissatisfied, and then I do Bumble until I'm dissatisfied, then I do Instagram until I'm dissatisfied. And next thing you know, the whole day is gone. What the fuck did you do with your time? Nothing. You didn't even date. You were just doing this for a self-esteem boost. So that's me at like my current peak unhealthiness, I would say, and right now, because I'm seeing someone, I'm not doing the dating apps and stuff, which is fantastic because the addiction was getting out of control. So I'm very thankful that that's not occurring. And then social media it's okay. I'm doing under 30 minutes right now, but my goal is under 15 minutes, and today I've already failed that. But we can try again tomorrow. And it sucks when someone uploads like a 3-minute tricking sampler and it takes up 3 minutes of my screen time, but I want to watch that fucking tricking sampler. And yeah, but you do notice how much happier you are without social media because you're getting that quick dopamine, and then there's a harsh down with it. Like, it's a really sharp upper, but then you realize that in between you become more unhappy, and actually it is just because you're checking it so much. So check it less and just see if you're happier. Okay. You could try doing November with me next year. November. I'm doing this because it's like capital November, and I thought I could like start a hashtag, but then I found out that hashtags don't follow like capitals or anything like that, so it's just hashtag November. it's like 17 billion posts with the hashtag November. Like, yeah, if you're doing November, hashtag November and tag me in it. But I'm giving it a shot, and I'm doing okay. And I do have to just accept the fact that because I'm not taking in caffeine, I am a little bit less energetic, and I'm a little bit less motivated. I get a little bit less done, and that's just a fact for this month. And now I do have to watch myself with sugar addiction because I'm starting to fill the holes that caffeine has left with sugar. But sugar is no better. Sure, if you're getting natural sugars from fruits and stuff, it's fantastic, and you just got to make sure that you're having it at the right time of day. Not eating a fucking metric ton of sugar before bed because it's gonna give you the jitters in bed. How do people do that? They eat like a chocolate cereal. What is the right time of day to eat chocolate cereal and sugar cereal? Morning, Jovy?
No, the first meal of your day should be the healthiest because it's what kickstarts you.
So sugar cereal should be lunch, not your full lunch, but like sugar cereal. You don't start your day with sugar. You start your day with healthy foods like leafy greens, not boogers, red peppers that you know how to cook properly. little joke for me, but it's crazy that some people start their days with sugar cereal because you're starting your day with fucking sugar. And you can't have it before bed because it's going to keep you up, or at least it keeps me up. And I don't get how some people can just eat sugar cereal right before bed because I'll lay in bed and I'll just get frustrated and my whole body, I'll get like restless leg syndrome, but my whole body is a leg. So I get restless body, and it's not a syndrome because the only syndrome that I know for sure is Down syndrome. So November is happening, and I'm making my way through it. What's the date today? Is it the 7th, the 6th? I'm 6 days in. I'm doing fine. I don't miss alcohol that much. I have noticed that at the end of some days, I'm like, oh man, could really go for a nice joint right now. Like, but it's just because of the habit. I built it up to be a habit. Because I would come home from work, or I would come home from doing stand up, or I would come home from having an adventurous day, and I'll just be like, yeah, it'd be nice to just kick back with a joint right now. And then it just becomes, I can't wait to go home and have a joint. Like it turns from you're home, you're settled, let's have a nice joint, and that works every once in a while. But I don't like any kind of mind alterant to be a habit. I'll accept coffee because it doesn't seem to have that many adverse effects. And I only get on weed's case because sometimes it'll make me get less done. Like sometimes I'll fool myself into thinking I can smoke weed and still like get shit done, and then I smoke weed and I'm just too lazy. Or fucking the other day, I think it was like October 31st or October 30th. I had my first weed panic attack in a while. Because I've been smoking these, like not during November, okay? I'm not a fucking liar. Prior to this month, I had been smoking these, like, government-regulated, very thin weed cigarettes. Like, they don't have cigarette in them. They're just, like, they look like cigarettes. It's got a very small amount of weed. Like, I guess, like, I don't know. It seems like each joint has maybe 0.1 of a gram, between, like, 0.1 and 0.3 of a gram. And that's perfect for me because I've got a pretty low tolerance. And so it's nice to just kind of curl up with one of those and, you know, smoke one of those and chill out. But after one of my mics 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I bought this weed, this government weed called Josh D or Josh Dog or something, or J Dog. But it was definitely Josh D because that's why I bought it, because I'm selfish and I'm the narcissist, Jovy. Because I'm the narcissist here. You only buy weed that's got your name on it. You're no better than Trump. Trump only puts his name on shit. Did you know he doesn't even have a franchise? He just puts his name on stuff. He's not even that rich. Someone said that to me. But I bought this weed because it had my name on it because I'm a narcissist, just like Trump is. Not a fan, even though I am wearing a red hat. But this weed is crack. It's like, what the fuck is my mind when I smoke it? It's insane. And I'm used to smoking an entire joint of like the thin boys, but this is like a thick 1 gram joint. And I was smoking with the person that I was seeing, and then she had a little bit and I had a lot and finished it. And then it just fucking hit me. Like, we were out on the balcony 15 floors up, and I'm like, I kind of want to jump. I could jump. What if I hung off the edge of this balcony? What if I just jumped? Because I was feeling very anxious. And like, I guess it was like the heights and everything. Like, I just started fixating on like how high up I was in the air and how high I was as a person, and how high my self-esteem usually is, but was not at that time. And I was freaking out. And when you're in that state, I guess some people just go frantic because they don't know how to handle that energy. But for me, I know what works best for me is if I close my eyes and just focus on my breath. So I just I cut off all conversation to my fault and grabbed some water and just laid on the floor and I just became the breath because that was all I could do in that moment. Ha ha ha. Commercial break. Stop recording. But yeah, that was the first panic attack I had with weed in a while. And it was very unpleasant. And I was definitely shook the next day. And it had been a while since I had been that way where, you know, shit's just so intensely anxious that you cannot operate. Like, I shut down all of my faculties except for breath because that was the only thing I could manage doing. I couldn't function. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't talk. I wasn't even Josh anymore. I was just breath. and I've been in that spot before. Like, I remember back in high school just getting to understand weed. Like, I didn't know how much was too much. So I would, you know, go hang with my friends after school and they would want to smoke pipes or whatever, and then eventually like bongs and then huge bongs. And I've never had that much of a capacity for weed, but they presented me with this bong, and I'm not about to be a pussy. I'm gonna smoke the whole thing. You know, like you find out later on, dude, be the pussy. just do not smoke the whole bong. And in fact, pull a little bit, smoke a little bit, and hand it off to someone who can just clear the chamber. Look at me giving you drug advice. If there are children watching this, drugs are bad. But adults do them. But So I took this huge bong hit, and I put my hand over the the shaft, the head of the penis, where what is that, a shaft?
I don't know the name for it. Open the bongs.
The bong shaft. The long bong shaft. I put my hand over the smoky long bong shaft. And what I didn't know about bongs is that if you hold the smoke in the bong, it gets stale and disgusting. So I was holding my hand on top, and my friends were like, dude. And I thought they were just being like, yo, don't be a pussy. Smoke it up. And I was like, there's a lot. As you can see, they're like, dude, smoke it. And they're like, it's getting stale. And I was like, I don't know what that means. Okay. And then I was like, oh, fuck, this tastes like poison gas. And so I inhaled the poison gas and immediately retreated to the bathroom, because that is where everyone goes for solace. And inside of the bathroom, I nearly greened out. And I haven't had a moment like that since. Thank God, because sure, it's bad throwing up after drinking. It's bad throwing up when you're sick. But when you're blasted out of your mind on weed and you're sick because of the weed, that's a different kind of suffering. That's like, I'm sick, I don't know what to do about it, and I can't handle this situation. What the fuck is happening? And eventually, I just breathe through it. Thank God. That seems to be my answer for most anxious situations. Like, for example, at my going away party in Calgary when I was going to move up to small town Cold Lake, I was offered a threesome, and I thought they were going to drug and rape me. So I went upstairs in the house of the party house back when we could gather socially and just breathe through it. And then when I was doing that, my friend Matt Mort, who he runs Discover Creation, is it Discover Connection? He runs Discover Connection, very cool YouTube channel. He runs that channel. He went up while I was having this panic attack and just snapped a photo on his film camera, and it is the funniest photo, because like I look like I'm suffering, but it's because I've been offered a threesome. Like how weird is that to just be like someone just comes up to you. That is weird, right? Someone comes up to you while you're playing video games. Let me set the scene. Like, I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast. Have I, Jovy? Do you remember me telling this story? In fact, is a word that I use a lot during this podcast. Shut the fuck up, right? Don't even say that. So I was at this party, and it was a Pody party, because Pody is my friend group. It is my parkour team. And when we'd get together and party, it'd be called a Pody party. And they were the best fucking parties, because we would have some friends who could DJ, and they'd be set up in the corner mixing shit, and like we'd be playing video games in the main room. There'd be people smoking weed in the garage out back. Like, there was more video games going on in the basement, or beer pong or whatever. But like, it was a really good social gathering. But at those social gatherings, I would just set up a TV with my friend Bob and play Smash Bros with him, because I was fucking addicted to it at the time. Because when you get good at Super Smash Bros Melee, it's so fucking fun that every time you're anywhere, you're like, I should just be playing Smash Bros. So at these parties, I would, maybe play a little bit of beer pong, maybe go smoke a little bit of weed, but for the most part, just be playing Smash Bros with my boy Bob. And that was super fun for me. But I would like not talk to people, especially if someone had brought like plus ones or some strangers to the party, or some friends who they wanted to introduce to the friend group. People would try and strike up conversations with me, and I would just like, I'm playing Smash Bros. So at this going away party, of course I'm doing that. I'm playing Smash Bros, not talking to anyone, even though it's my going away party. And these two girls who I hadn't met before come up to me, and they just start chatting me up, and I'm like, I'm playing video games right now, actually, so I can't talk right now. But they were very persistent. They're like, hey, so we heard you do parkour, and I'm like, yep. And then just back to the games. And then they're like, do you teach parkour? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, could you teach us parkour? And I'm like, yep, sometimes for sure. If you could come to the gym, yes. Not now. And then they're like, we have a green apartment with pots and pans on the ceiling. And I was like, weird. and continued playing. And then they're like, could you teach us parkour at our apartment? I was like, yeah, that actually doesn't sound safe, especially with the pots and pans thing. Continued playing. And they're like, could you teach us parkour on our bed? And then in my brain just went, ding! Oh, sex. Okay. And I looked over. Oh, two girls. They are both asking for the sex. Very interesting. So I was like, yeah. And then I just like paused the game and then went and talked to a bunch of friends of mine. I was like, hey, so do you know these people? And they're like, yeah, they're chill people. I was like, they want to sex me. I was very nervous. So I was very suspicious because it happened too easily. I put no effort into it. Like, why do they want to sex me? I'm playing video games. I am not doing anything attractive. I'm not even talking to them correctly. So I was like, there is only one thing. There's two potential things. They're either going to sex me for sure, or they're going to drug and rape me, and I don't know which one. So I took myself upstairs because I began having a panic attack. Sat there and just breathed through it. And as I was doing that, Matt fucking Mort comes up with his film camera and then he posted the photo, and it's one of my favorite photos of myself. And I love many photos of myself because I am a narcissist. Yeah, we are around here. We are in this house, aren't we? But we are in this house. Yeah, we sure are. And I put that photo on a shirt. And it ended up being a very well selling shirt, and it's one of my favorite shirts with one of my favorite photos, and it's just a fantastic memory because it's me having a panic attack because I've been offered sex from two ladies and it happened too easily. Yes, sir. Oh, I didn't talk about the nosebleed, did I? All that time ago. Let's take ourselves back. What? This is the timer mode apparently. We're taking ourselves back in time. Yo, this girl straight up just, like, had a fountain of blood out of her nose. And that's all I had to say about that. Like, why didn't I just say that at the time? Like, she was, like, in the middle of the hallway at school. I don't know if your school has hallways, social distancing, maybe all school is on Zoom now. But back in my day when school had hallways and lockers, this lady, who was a young girl at the time, is a lady now, for sure my age. She was just, like, she was standing like this. And then everyone's like, hey, what's going on, Danny? And then she's like, look. And then her whole hand was just, like, filled with blood. I was like, she's dying. You would just see extreme shit like that back in elementary school. People just do extreme shit because people are just learning their human faculties back then. And they don't understand that, like, They don't fully understand how to coexist as human beings. And that kind of made school thrilling back then, is you're all kind of learning how to human together. Like, now that I'm an adult, people mostly understand how to human. But back then it's like, yeah, my mom dresses me and in fact she wipes my bum. So, and then you're expected to... Did your mom wipe your bum, Jovy? Come on.
No.
No?
Well, like...
When?
What age? Like before... Once I was...
Maybe 5.
No.
My mom wiped my bum till, like, an excessive age. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Yeah, maybe 5, maybe 4 or 5. But it was like it got to a weird age for sure. Because I would, like, finish pooping, and I just didn't know, and I wasn't curious enough to find out myself. And I was like, I would just finish up and go, Mom, I'm done. Wipe my bum. Mom, I'm done. Wipe my bum.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it is. I'm helpless. I'm a helpless human being. I'm a man-child. And so, does that explain it? That probably explains it all. If you're wondering why I'm like this, that's probably it. In fact, that plus the stepmom altogether. And then my dad would wipe my bum as well. And I did notice that my dad and my mom had very different wiping techniques. Like, my mom would like to... was it my mom or my dad that would fold? I think my dad was a folder, and then my mom was a crumpler, and I was like, you're just going to take so much toilet paper and just crumple it? Like, that is a huge waste. And then my dad would, like, take, like, 3 squares and fold them gently, and then he would wipe and then fold and then wipe again, and I realized that was my technique. But I couldn't go, Mom, I'm done, wipe my bum when I was at my dad's house because I come from a broken family. So I would go, Dad, I'm glad, wipe my Chad. No, it's not true. I would say, Dad, I'm done, or I would just go, Dad, and then he would come up and do it. But I would think that to myself, like, because Mom, I'm done, wipe my bum. That sounds like a fun, like, thing to say, but Dad, I have finished shitting, please come clean my anus is not, like, it does not flow off the tongue. So sometimes I would think to myself, like, Dad, I'm glad, wipe my Chad. Anyway, those are my bathroom habits. And that explains why I am the way I am. Because, yes, I have been pampered to a late age. In fact, I still do not work enough to pay for my own living. I live off of savings. I inherited money, and so now I am just, like, a large man child. Like, yeah, I have been able to figure out my shit in the past. Like, I haven't always been rich, but like before this, sure, I figured out how to like work a job and stuff, and then now I've just been living off of my savings. And then now the savings are running out, and sometimes I panic when I think about it, but like also I could just like grow up and really figure these things out. But also sometimes I feel like it's helped me remain like all of these situations. Sure, it's great that I I'm so sheltered because I can just continue to be the child that I am. But when things start being taken away because I've been living outside of my means for so long, I'm like, shit, like I really have to become an adult fast. Because you think you'd be smart when you get a lot of money, and then you don't. You just like, especially if you're like a 19-year-old or a 20-something and you're just given a huge chunk of cash, yeah, you're gonna blow it on some stupid shit. But I did spend it on some really good, worthwhile things. Like I paid off my acting school. I've been able to live comfortably in Vancouver without having to struggle too much. Especially during the pandemic, it's been really great for me. And I'm glad that I can be so truthful about this because like there is like a certain amount of shame that comes with having that money because I didn't have to work for it. I'm a trustafarian. There's a little bit of shame that comes with that because, there are people who are struggling in this world and, doing the same things that I'm doing, with the same degree of success, but they're also, working and struggling and, struggle builds character. But I also think the lack of struggle that I've had has built the character who I am. Like, I'm just a big child and it works for comedy, it works for acting, and I won't always be rich. The money's running out, and sometimes I panic thinking about that, let's get existential for a sec, But also, I do trust myself enough to figure it out. Like, I am kind of gradienting myself from not working to working a little bit to maybe picking up 2 jobs or finding a new job where I'm making more money or something. Like, I am kind of gradually easing myself into this true adulthood. But I've had training wheels for a long time, and the wiping the ass story is another. It's very symbolic of where I'm at. I'm a big child and I'm trying to just figure it out, but like I'm happy and I'm expressive and I feel creative and I trust myself to figure it out. And you should trust yourself to figure things out, right? Being given responsibility will make you a responsible person, and I haven't had a whole lot of responsibilities, so in some ways I'm an irresponsible person. I'm not a toucher. I know to ask for consent. I'm not that childish, but there are some things that like they take me a little bit longer to figure out because I haven't had to make my way for myself. Really, like I work really hard in my creative endeavors, and not having to work so much has given me a lot of time to work on my creative projects, and that's why I'm able to do so many things at once. Like I'm able to have a podcast, pursue acting, pursue comedy, still be a parkour athlete, still do tricking. Whatever the fuck else I'm doing, being a cameraman for stuff, being a writer for a skit comedy group. Like, I'm able to manage all of this because I've been given this opportunity, this money that I have. And maybe it's uncomfortable for you guys to hear about this, or it's uncomfortable for me to talk about it, at least, because it makes me feel less valid as a person a little bit, which is weird, but yeah. But, I'm able to do all of these things because I've been given this wonderful opportunity. And so I acknowledge the opportunity I've been given, and I've taken this opportunity to push myself as much as I can in all these creative directions, and hopefully something sticks. Like I'm not just like, putting out feelers in all these different directions and seeing just, what I will make my living off of one day. It's like, no, I'm doing the things I enjoy and I'm doing them as hard as possible. And, maybe one day I'll be able to make a living off my art. And that's what I want to do, is just have an artful existence where, sure, I can encounter struggle and difficulty, but I want my life largely to be something that I've chosen instead of circumstances that have been thrust upon me, which ironically, maybe if I've been living beyond my means, then the circumstances of having to work more and reduce my lifestyle will be thrust upon me, and then I'll be a victim of that. But instead I could just like, be an adult and work a little bit more, and then, maybe pick and choose some more hobbies, or just like waste my time a little bit less. Anyway, this has been episode 30 of the podcast. Thank you for joining me. These are some things I think about. If you got to the end of the episode, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Shout out to Wes. Shout out to Kevin. Thank you guys for watching. Shout out to Oh, we had a comment on one of the most recent ones we did. I'm gonna go and look at that real quick. I had a like a very very nice heartfelt comment on Family Biz, the episode before this. George Barron, thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. Cordell, if you're watching, really appreciate you. You guys are basically my Patreon without having to pay me. So yeah, thanks for joining me. This has been episode 30, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed, or maybe you were picking your nose the whole time and don't know what happened. And I am glad that you are here, and I'm glad to be alive. And bye bye. I love you. End it.